Welcome back to Pilates by Brianna. Today's workout is going to be a full body workout. It'll be one of those around the world workouts that I like doing where we kind of work our way around the reformer facing different directions. We'll start with a warm-up with our footwork settings. So I have on 3 heavy reds, 1 medium blue, and then we will be on mostly 1 medium blue spring for the remainder of the class. I do have my platform extender on. You don't need it. We will be doing some standing. You can stand on your regular platform, but for today I'm choosing to have my extender on. And that's the only equipment that you may or may want to have. So when you're ready, let's get started. Come to lay down on your backs on the carriage and make sure the headrest is down. We're going to start with the heels on the bar, hip distance apart. Spine is in neutral. Feet will be flexed towards you, and then initiating from the glutes, you can begin pressing the carriage out and in. Exhale to press out. Inhale to control the carriage back into the stopper. We'll do 2 more here. Last one. And then when the carriage is in at the stopper, we'll begin tucking the tailbone and rolling our hips up for a bridge position, keeping the hips even. Inhale at the top, exhale to roll on down. We're going for 8 of these. Nice, slow, and controlled. You're using your hamstrings to try to keep the carriage in at the stopper. Two more. Last one, and this time when the hips are up, we will pause. Keep them up as you begin pressing the carriage out and in. As you press out, the knees will lower, and then when you pull the carriage back into the stopper, the hips will raise. We're going for 8 here, nice and controlled. Last time, out and in. And then when the carriage is back in at the stopper, you can raise the hips a little bit more and then roll your hips back onto the carriage. Place the toes on the bar, and we're going to repeat that set now with the toes so you can begin pressing the carriage out and in. We're going for 8 times here. Last one. And then when the carriage is in at the stopper, we'll do a hinge bridge. So you're not going to tuck the tailbone, you're just lifting the hips straight up. And then when you bring them back down, you're just tapping the glutes onto the carriage, and then you'll lift the hips right back up. We've got the 8 here, and then we will go directly into the 8 press outs. 2 more. And then next time the hips are up, we'll hold them up, and you've got 8 times pressing the carriage out and back in. When you press out, the knees and the hips will lower, and then when you pull the carriage in, they will rise back up. We're using our hamstrings to help bring the carriage back in. Last one. And then when the carriage is in at the stopper, you can lower the hips down. Heels will go wide on the bar. Hips are externally rotated. Knees are a little wider than the shoulders. Using the glutes, begin pressing out and in here. We're going to go through that set 1 more time. So we've got 8 times pressing out and in. Last time here. And then when the carriage is in at the stopper, we have our bridges, keeping the heels wide and the knees a little wider than the shoulders. So you're going to feel this a bit more in your glutes. This is the last one. Next time the hips are up, keep them up and we'll begin pressing the carriage out and in, staying in that hip external rotation. You have 8 times here, about 5 more to go. Exhale out, inhale back in, keeping those hips nice and even. 2 more. Last one. Once the carriage is all the way in at the stopper, then you can roll the hips down. You're going to keep the heels wide, grab hold onto the pegs or the shoulder blocks, bring both legs over to the left, keeping the right shoulder down. And then you can bring the knees back up and to the right, keeping the left shoulder down. We'll do one more in each direction, just getting a nice little stretch. And last time, bringing the legs over to the right. Bring the knees back up to center, hands down by your side, toes on the bar, press out and stay out for heel raises. Nice, low and controlled. You're going to lower the heels underneath the bar. And then using the calf, you're going to raise the heels back up. We're working the back of the legs here. Last one. And then you could bend the left knee, let the right heel drop underneath the bar, and just hang out here for a few breaths in this stretch. And then you'll straighten both knees and switch. Bend the right knee, left heel will drop. Straighten both legs and bring the carriage in. You can come on off. We're going to change our spring settings to 1 medium blue and 1 heavy red for feet and straps. So once you have that set up, you can lay on your back and go ahead and put your feet in the straps. Once your feet are in the straps, the legs will go up towards the ceiling. Keep both knees straight as you pull the legs down. Keep the knees together as you bend the knees into the chest, and then they will straighten overhead. So we're doing a double leg bicycle. Knees straight as you lower, knees into the chest, straighten the legs overhead, and repeat. We're trying to keep the inner thighs zipped together the entire time. Then next time the legs are overhead, we'll pause and reverse. Bend the knees into the chest, press out, keep the knees straight as you bring the legs overhead. Bend the knees in, press out, keep the legs straight as the legs go overhead. And we're keeping the inner thighs zipped together the entire time again. Last one here. And then when the legs are overhead, we'll pause and go into our big hip circle. Circle the legs away from each other, around and down, back up through center, away from each other, around and down, and then they'll come together to come back up through center. Next time the legs are overhead, we'll pause and reverse. Keep them together as you lower the legs, circle them away from each other, around and back up. Heels find each other, and then lower the legs back down through center. You're only going as wide into the circles as feels comfortable for you. Last time around, when the legs are back up, you're going to bend just the left knee, And you can grab hold onto the right strap, feeling a nice stretch in the back of the right leg, from the hamstrings all the way to the calves. And then we'll switch. Bend the right knee, straighten the left one up, try to keep the hips down, feeling a stretch now in the back of the left leg. And then you can take both feet out of the straps, hang up your straps, and come on up. We're going to take off the one heavy red spring, so we are left with one medium blue, and we will be on this spring for pretty much the remainder of the class. You're going to come onto the carriage, knees up against the shoulder blocks, walk your way up to the risers, holding onto the side of the risers, and we're going to begin a pull-up. So the hips are back towards the heels a bit. You're using your lats, your big muscles running down the side of the body, to pull up towards the risers and then control it back down. Last one here. And then when the arms are straight, you're just going to melt into that stretch a little bit so you can lower the chest down even more, either keeping your hands on the side of the risers or you can bring them up to the top, whichever one feels better for you. And then hands will go back to the frame and carefully walk the carriage back to the stopper. Scoot the knees back a little bit so they're in the middle of the carriage and straighten out the right leg. Hands stay on the frames. You're going to bend the elbows as you dip the chest down towards the well, and then use your triceps to push yourself back up to your quadruped position. So you're bending the elbows as you lower down towards the well, the right leg will lift, you're keeping the right glute engaged, and then use your triceps to come back up to your normal position. Next time you come up, stay up. You're going to pull the carriage, that way the shoulders are over the wrists. And then using your core, you're going to bring the carriage towards your arms. So you're using the core and the muscles of that left thigh to bring the carriage towards the arms. Last one. And then you're going to keep the carriage away from the stopper as you begin bringing the right leg out to your side and then back behind you. So the right leg is just sweeping out to the side and back behind you. Think of the foot gliding along the table, so as you bring the leg out, it's not lowering at all. You're keeping it nice and high. And then you could bring that right leg underneath you. Pick up the strap in your right hand, bring the knees back a little bit more. Left hand can go on the shoulder block or the headrest, and we'll start pullbacks. Pull the arms back and up to your side, engaging the lats, and then control it back down. Exhale as you pull the strap, inhale to lower. And keep in mind of your head position too. So you don't want the head dipping down. You're engaging all of the muscles in the back of our neck as well. And then next time you pull that right arm up, hold it up for tricep kick back. Bend the elbow and straighten the elbow. So you're keeping the upper arms where it is, and then you're just bending the elbow and then using the triceps to straighten the arm back behind you. Last one. And then lower the arm down. You're going to put the strap on the right thigh, so above the knee it's going to go. And then we'll come back into a quadruped position or on all fours. We're going to start with hip abduction. Hands can be either on the shoulder blocks or on the headrest. My left knee is towards the center of the carriage, so that way the strap doesn't get caught. And then you're going to bring that right knee out to the side and then control it back in. So we're using our hip abductors, our outer glutes to do this motion. We have one more to go. And then we're going to add on to that. So now you'll open out and then you're going to straighten the knee as the carriage moves, bend the knee back in and to your side. So you're lifting that right knee and then straighten the leg, bring it back in and lower. Carriage will move for this one. This is the last one here, and when the leg is straight, hold it straight. You're going to lower the leg so the toes touch the ground, and then use the glutes to pull it back up. And the foot is going to be at an angle about 45 degrees away from you, so that way you clear the foot bar, and it's also working a different part of the glute. Next time that leg is up, let's hold it up for little pulses. You're raising the leg up an inch and down an inch, really squeezing into that right glute, and then lower all the way down. You can take the strap off of the leg. You're going to take a quarter turn to your right. The right knee is going to be on the edge of the carriage. You're going to straighten out the left leg so that way the foot is on the headrest, and you're coming up into a half kneel position. You're going to put the left arm through the short loop. Hands will go behind your head. You're starting up nice and tall, and then you're going to dip down towards the well, towards the foot bar side, and then use your obliques to come back up to center. So dip down towards the well and then back up. You've got about 4 more to go. This is the last one here, and then we'll add on to that. So now you're going to dip down towards your right, pause, rotate towards the well so the chest is facing the ground, come back up to neutral, and then all the way up to your start position. So we're doing that same side bending, and we're just adding the rotation. Last one here. And then when you come up to the start position, we'll pause. Now you're going to stay upright but rotate towards the risers. So you're using our back muscles and our obliques a little bit to rotate now towards the risers. You're also going to feel a bit of some mobilization in your hips too, just with it being set up like this and at these angles. A little bit of hip external and internal rotation. Okay, and last one here. And then you can take the strap off of the arm, but keep it in your left hand. And then you're going to rotate, so now we're facing the foot bar. You're going to hold onto the short loop. The feet will go between the shoulder blocks, so on the headrest. And then we're going to bicep curl. So you're going to keep the upper arm at your side as you bend the elbow and straighten the elbow, and the right hand can be on the carriage. So you're just bending and straightening that left arm, again watching your head position. Last one here. And then we're going to add on to that. So you're going to do a bicep curl again, and then you're going to press it overhead and then back to bent elbows and then straighten the arm out. So bicep curl first and then press out overhead. And then you'll come back to the elbow bent position and then straighten the arm. This will be our final one here. And then when the carriage is in at the stopper, you can come up to kneeling. You're going to put your feet up against the shoulder blocks, come into a hug a tree position. You still only have the strap in the left hand, and then you're going to rotate towards the left and then use the obliques to come back to center. So you're kind of letting the straps pull you to the left and then use your obliques to come back to center. Two more, reaching up nice and tall through the crown of the head. Last one. Good work. You can hang up that strap, and now we're going to do that set in reverse. So pick up the strap in the right hand, come back up to your tall kneeling, interlace your hands. Now you're going to let the straps pull you to the right and then use your obliques to come back to center. So you're rotating to the right. And when you rotate to the right, you're keeping the hips pressing forward. So you're only rotating through the lumbar spine or your torso. One more here. And then you can rest down. You're going to slide your legs through the shoulder blocks so that way you could bring the knees back some. Left hand will be on the carriage, and we've got our bicep curls. So the arm is in line with your spine and you're just bending the elbow and straightening the elbow. One more. And then we're going to add in our overhead press. So now do a bicep curl, press overhead, elbow comes back to your side, and then straighten out the arm. We've got 8 of those here. So that same bicep curl, but now adding in an overhead press. Last one. And then when the carriage is in at the stopper, you're going to come up, rotate to your right, and now you have your left knee on the edge of the carriage, right foot is on the shoulder block, and you can put your arm through the short loop. Hands will go behind the head. You're going to dip down, side bend to your left, and then nice and controlled, come back up to center. The carriage will move here. Last one. And then we're going to add our rotation to that. So side bend to your left, pause, rotate towards the well, come back to your side bending, and then all the way up. Side bend to the left, rotate towards the well, come back to your side bending, and all the way up. We'll do 6 more like that. One more time here, side bend to the left, rotate towards the well, back to your side bending, back up. Now you're going to stay upright as you rotate towards your right, towards the risers, and then come back to center. We'll go for 2 more. And last one. And then you can take your arm out of the strap and pull that right knee in. You're going to put the long loop on the left thigh, so above the knee, and then come onto all fours facing the risers with the hands on the shoulder blocks, and your right leg will be towards the center of the carriage. You're going to lift that left knee out to the side and then pull it back in. As you lift up, try not to rotate through the spine very much. Last one here. And then we're going to add in that kick back. So you'll open out to the side, kick the leg back behind you, back to knee bent, and back at your side. Four more, staying strong in the shoulders. On this last one, we're going to hold it out and then lower the toes towards the floor, and then use the glutes to bring the leg back up, keeping the knee straight the whole time. So just a lower lift here. On this next one, you're going to hold that leg up for little pulses, pulsing the leg up an inch and down an inch, squeezing into that left glute. And then you could lower the leg, take the strap off of the leg, come back to your quadruped position. With the right hand on the shoulder block, strap is in the left hand for our pullbacks. Keep the elbow straight as you pull the arm towards your side using your lats, and then control it back down. Make sure that the knees aren't too close to the shoulder block, so that way you can keep your spine straight. And then next time you pull that arm towards your side, pause, and we'll go right into our tricep kickbacks. Bend the elbow, straighten the elbow, keeping the upper arm in line with your body. So just a bend and straighten of the elbow. Last one. And then you can hang up that strap. Slide the knees up a little bit, hands will go on the frame, straighten the left leg out behind you. And you're going to bend the elbows as you dip the chest down towards the well, and then use your triceps to raise back up. As you dip down, that left leg will lift, squeezing into that left glute the entire time. Last one. And then pull the carriage forward so that way the shoulders are over the wrist. And then with your right knee, you're going to bring the carriage in even more, engaging the core, and then control it back so that way the knee is underneath the hip. So you're just pressing the carriage out using your right knee and your abdominals and controlling it back in. Left leg stays long the whole time. Then hold the carriage away from the stopper as you sweep the left leg out to the side and then back behind you. So sweeping it out to the side and back behind you. Last one here. And then rest down, carriage back into the stopper. Bring the toes together to touch. You can bring the knees out wide and just kind of sit back towards your heels in a little child's pose. And then come up and come off to your left-hand side. You're going to turn to face the foot bar. Place the left foot up against the shoulder block. Right leg is in line with the left. Press the left leg out and then bend into your right knee as you press the carriage back even more. Keep the left knee straight as you bring the carriage in, lifting yourself up for a flying lunge. Right leg will come back behind you. So you're controlling it with the arms, but also putting pressure into that shoulder block. You're going to land softly with that right leg back on the ground. We're going for 8 total. This is the last one, but now you're going to bring that right foot onto the platform, turn to your left, and have your left leg about halfway onto the carriage. Keep both knees straight as you press the carriage out. Pause, hinge forward, come back up. Use the inner thighs to bring the carriage all the way in. Press out and pause, hinge forward without letting the carriage move. Come back up, using the inner thighs to bring the carriage in. We've got 6 more here. Keeping the spine nice and straight as you hinge forward so the movement is coming from the hips. Last time here. And then when the carriage is in at your stopper, you're going to use the inner thighs to keep it at the stopper the whole time, and you've got 8 of those hinge forwards. So So keeping the carriage into the stopper, you're hinging forward and then back up. 6 more to go. You should really be feeling those inner thighs. Last one here. And then you're going to rotate towards the foot bar. Hands will go on the foot bar. Feet will go up against the shoulder blocks. You're going to press out to a plank position and then bend the knees to bring the carriage in and press the carriage back out to plank. Pause when you're in plank for a second. Really feel those abdominals engage and then bring the knees back in. Last one. And then bring the carriage in, step the left foot onto the platform, turn to your right. Right leg is halfway on the carriage. And then we're going to do our press outs on this side, our side splits. So keep the knees straight as you press out, pause, hinge forward, come back up, zip up through the inner thighs and squeeze the pelvic floor to help bring the carriage back in. We've got 8 total here. This is our last one here. And then when the carriage is in at the stopper, we'll pause, keep the carriage at the stopper, and we've got 8 of the hinge forwards here. Keeping the spine nice and straight, hinge forward, using our glutes and our back muscles to come back up to upright. One more to go. And then you're going to step backwards off of the reformer with the right leg first. And then we've got the flying lunges on this side. So your right foot will be up against the shoulder block, left leg in line with the right. Press the carriage out so the right knee is straight. Bend into the left knee to press the carriage back even more. As you bring the carriage in, you're stabilizing using your hands and that right foot to sweep that left leg up behind you, squeezing into that left glute. You're going to land softly with that left leg back into your lunge. One more good one here. And then bring the carriage in. I'm going to put on 1 light spring, so I have on 1 medium blue, 1 light yellow, but you can also use 1 heavy. We're going into a lunge stretch. So place that left leg up on the platform. I like to have my shin against the foot bar and press the carriage out with that right leg. The right foot is on the right shoulder block. Feeling a stretch in that right hip flexor. Bring the carriage in. This time, as you press out, you're going to open that left arm and rotate towards the left. And we'll hold here. And then come back to center. Bring the carriage in. You're going to press out 1 more time. This time you can sweep the right arm up towards the ceiling. If that feels good, maybe the left one will come up as well. You're getting a little bit of an arch into your back to feel it more into the right hip flexor. Hands down to the foot bar, bring the carriage in. This time as you press out, you're going to keep that left knee straight. 2 options here. You can either pull the left toes up so you're on the left heel. I'm choosing to have my foot down to get more of a stretch in the front of my ankle. And then you could bring the carriage in and we will switch sides. Right foot on the platform, left foot on the shoulder block to press out. I like to have my right shin against the foot bar. Now we're feeling a stretch in that left hip flexor. You could bring the carriage in. This time you'll press out, pause, and you're going to rotate towards the right, opening up through the chest and getting some rotation throughout the spine. Right hand will come back to the bar, bring the carriage in, press out again. This time the left arm will lift overhead, and if you feel comfortable, the right one as well, just to get deeper into that stretch. And then both hands will come to the foot bar, bring the carriage in. This time you're going to keep the right knee straight as you press back. Same two options. You can either have the foot come up, so just the heel is on the platform, or keep the foot down. And then bring the carriage in. You are all done. I hope you enjoyed this workout. Please make sure to like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you next time.